Welcome to the Jedburgh podcast. I'm the creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Each episode, I speak with transformative leaders, visionaries, drivers of change, and those dedicated to winning no matter the challenge. The Jedburgh podcast is founded in the lineage of the special operations Jedburgh teams of the past and is produced in partnership with Talent War Group, a management consulting and executive search firm focused on helping you optimize the people side of your business. We're sponsored by Jersey Mike Subs. Together, we share the mission of giving, making a difference in someone's life. Visit the Jedburgh Podcast, Talent War Group, and Jersey Mike Subs on the web and on all social media. A percentage of all proceeds is dedicated to the Green Beret Foundation, supporting America's Special Forces and their families.
Don, welcome to the Jedburgh Podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely incredible day. We thought it was going to be cold because somebody said it was going to be from the 40s in Miami, but we're sitting here in the sun, and it is obviously not in the 40s. Absolute incredible event at Wodapalooza this year. We're in day 4. Jessie and I have been on the stage. This is our 4th day now, so incredibly honored to have that opportunity and also to sit here with you. You came into the job as the CrossFit CEO a couple of months ago. We're going to talk about your vision. We're going to talk about your assessment over the last couple of months, all things CrossFit, where's it going, but we're also going to take it back a little bit, talk about your career as a Marine. I won't hold that against you. Your transition into tech, and then what brought you into CrossFit and into athletics.
Let's do it.
Even though you were a Force Recon Marine.
That's right. Man. If you can tolerate a Marine, that might be the only place.
I got something for you at the end, and Jesse's not going to let me forget.
I'm not sure I want it.
Let's talk about Wodapalooza. It's unique within the competition space for CrossFit. So just for a couple minutes, what is the significance of the event, and why is it important to the CrossFit community?
Well, I think it starts with community. Like, one of the things that is so special about CrossFit is this incredibly unique, passionate community that we have. And moments like this, we've got a few moments throughout the year where, members of the community, coaches, affiliates, our athletes get a chance to all come together and celebrate what we all love about CrossFit, celebrate competition. And so this, Wodapalooza is such a great example of that. And I had the chance to bring my family down here and some folks who have not seen and experienced CrossFit. There is no better way to experience the uniqueness of this community than at an amazing event like this, where people can come together and celebrate what they love about this sport.
Yeah, this is my first time at any kind of CrossFit event, and it is amazing. I've been having so much fun running around to all the booths and watching what the athletes are doing, and it's so impressive and so cool. And I saw these 2 guys competing yesterday who both had their arms were amputated below, but oh my gosh, it was so cool to see them doing pull-ups. But it's so inspiring here, seeing what people are doing and just feeling the energy, and it makes me want to get involved.
Wow, exactly. You touched on a bunch of it. There are so many moments of inspiration that you get to kind of see and feel firsthand. From the elite athletes out on the floor, to the masters division, to adaptive athletes, to members of the community. I met a woman this morning from Johnson City, Tennessee. She's 78 years old. She won a free pair of shoes this morning by doing 20 cals on the bike.
No way.
Wait, 20 what?
20 calories on an assault bike. So she got on the assault bike, knocked out 20 calories. Yesterday, she did 22 burpees in a minute. This is a woman who's 78 years old. And she has 4 generations in her family doing CrossFit in her town in Tennessee. I mean, how inspiring is that?
That's amazing. I'm going to get my mom into this, too.
Exactly. I was going to have her call my dad and give him a little bit of a pep talk, so we'll see.
That's so cool.
I know we were joking about the Marines, but talk about that service. You went to the Naval Academy, you made that decision early on in life. It's a defining moment for so many, and we talk about people who go on later in their life to do truly amazing things, at executive levels of really well-known companies. I mean, there's between college athletes and those who've served in the military, we see so many who excel throughout their entire career and their entire life. Talk about the decision to go into the Marines, go to the Naval Academy, and then what you learned from that you've carried forward with you throughout your career.
Oh, gosh.
Also,
yeah.
I think put the mic a little bit closer.
A little bit closer.
Yeah. There we go.
Thank you. Yeah. So Gosh, what a great question. So I went off to the Naval Academy when I was 17 years old. Grew up in a little town in New Jersey. A big part of what drew me to the Naval Academy and service in general was the opportunity to give back. That was a really big part of it. My parents reinforced to myself and my brothers from an early age that it was important to give back to the community, to give back to the country. So the notion of service really resonated. The other piece is I really looked at that experience as one where I'd benefit from just an incredible richness of life experience. I didn't know candidly at age 17 whether I was going to be a career military service member, but I knew that I'd get a chance to meet some incredible people. I get a chance to learn incredible things about leadership and teamwork that would carry with me the rest of my life. I showed up to the Naval Academy thinking, not knowing anything about the Navy, the Marine Corps, service in general, thinking I wanted to be a pilot. Well, I didn't have the eyes for it.
Everybody wants to be a pilot when they go in.
I was the Top Gun, the original Top Gun generation back in the day. And I got to the Naval Academy.
Greatest sequel ever.
For sure. Knocking it out of the park. But, as you know, Fran, every service, while there's a lot that unites us across the different services, every service has a slightly different culture. There's something unique about it. And for me, when I got to the Naval Academy, we had the opportunity to get exposed to the Navy and the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps is part of the Department of the Navy. And, from the first minute I spent time with the Marines, there was something about the kind of ethos and the culture that really resonated. A lot of it, I would say is in and around this notion of servant leadership. In the Marine Corps, leaders eat last. In the Marine Corps, and I know a lot of this is similar with the other services, but you sleep in the dirt next to your Marines. You do the same job as your Marines. There is this shared notion of a purpose and service, and the really clear understanding that as a leader, your job is actually to work for and support your people. And that really resonated with me at a deep level. In terms of the lessons and takeaways for me, I could go on and on. One of the things that I think is really unique about military service is you get exposed to leadership at a really young age. I was 21 when I graduated. Yeah. And, for some reason, they think it's a good idea to put a fresh 21-year-old in charge of 30 to 40 other human beings.
It's so eye-opening.
It's crazy.
I tell these stories about walking in, after graduating Ranger School, as an infantry officer, and walking into my platoon, head held high, shoulders back, you got your Ranger tab on. You walk in the room, and then nobody looks at you.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're still a second lieutenant. You don't know shit.
Exactly.
And everybody has been there for years. And now you have to figure out so quickly, where do I fit in and how do I add value to these guys?
100%. And honestly, that experience for me, I had exactly the same. I was a, young, naive, overconfident 21-year-old who had spent 4 years, thinking that I had learned all this about leadership. I'd never actually led anyone in any meaningful circumstance. And, you get humbled really quickly. Yeah. And the folks who are successful are those who are willing to listen to others, who are willing to humble themselves, who are willing to do the work. That was, at age 21 for me, so many lessons, so many things I learned from my Marines, candidly taught me. And that was something for me that, I think I took with me throughout my career. I've had a weird career, and you drop into a new environment, new community, and those lessons I learned as a 21-year-old about listening, about learning from others, about understanding your job is to serve and support others, have been so beneficial for me throughout my career.
Well, and you talk about the interesting career that you've had, because then you go from being in the Marines, getting an MBA, and then going into tech, which is probably quite the polar opposite of where you were.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I was an infantry Marine, spent some time in the reconnaissance community. My first job after active duty was working at Google. And if you can imagine an environment that is more extreme on the other side of the cultural divide, I remember walking onto the Google campus, and it felt like I was at a carnival. Yeah. Like the campus was all of these amenities and X number of cafeterias and ping pong tables. So it was a real culture shift for me, and it took me some time to realize that actually, a lot of the things that I'd learned in the Marine Corps, even though the environment was really different, were totally extensible. The lessons about leadership, the lessons about bringing people together, the lessons about being part of a team were incredibly valuable.
So everybody who's getting ready to become a special operator, go to selection for whether it's going to be a Green Beret, Navy SEAL, you want to become an Army Ranger, you want to join the Air Force, become a pararescueman. Right? They can come to you, hop on 18 Alpha Fitness app, and you're going to take them through some very specific workouts that are designed for each one of those training programs.
I always start off everybody day one of 18 Alpha Fitness is my push-up from hell. Spider-Man push-ups. So on a down position, your left knee comes to your left elbow. Right knee comes to your right elbow. Yeah. Next one is diamonds, everybody's favorite. And make sure you get that chest off that ground. All right, wide arm. Be on your knee. This is the knee one, but you're gonna go down and explode up.
You want to take it to the next level. You want to be one of America's best. Get on 18 Alpha Fitness. Check it out.
Well, the important thing too there is you started to adapt to really start to understand tech.
Yeah.
Which I think you were able to then bridge into the wearable space when you moved on from the tech industry.
That's right. So, for me, as I came out of the Marine Corps, got a chance to get exposed to the technology industry, there were a lot of things actually about it that were different that I loved. So, in the technology industry, the rate of change and the focus on innovation, we used to joke in the Marine Corps that the Marine Corps' mentality is it's worked for 275 years. Why would we change it?
Yeah, keep going.
In technology, it was exactly the opposite. It was this notion of challenging the status quo, and we can always be better.
Fail fast is the
Fail
big thing you hear.
fast, exactly. And that was, really invigorating for me. I learned a lot from that. And that time and experience in that industry led me to, really I think about, for me, an opportunity where my experience started to come full circle. I grew up, if you had asked me about my passions growing up, it would have been sports, fitness, training. I got a chance to embrace a lot of that as a Marine, where obviously physical fitness is a huge part of being qualified for the job. And then I made this little foray into technology. That led me to a company called Athos. So my last job before CrossFit, I worked at a sports performance technology company. Our product used to be tested on Ninja Warrior, actually. We would use it to look at muscle activation. It was really cool. But that was an amazing opportunity for me to take two passions of mine, even though those parts of my life felt very different and disconnected, that came together in a really meaningful sort of way.
Yeah, I played with some of those in physical therapy. I wish I could have played with it on Ninja Warrior, because I would be so interested to see which muscles are being used out of balance. But yeah, they were amazing in physical therapy from a knee injury, seeing which muscles were dominant that shouldn't be, and then learning more about how to correct.
Awesome. That's
That was
exciting.
so fun.
Talk about the transition to CrossFit for a second. So August 2022, you come into the role as the CEO of CrossFit. What was the opportunity that you saw?
Yeah.
Had you done a lot of CrossFit before that?
I had. So, my CrossFit journey started in 2014. So, as I mentioned, I played sports growing up. I describe myself as an aggressively mediocre athlete in high school. So my enthusiasm really outpaced my ability and skill.
You can go really far with a lot of hard work.
Hey, that's right.
It outmatches skill at
my
that
life
level all day
ethos
long.
is overcoming a lack of skill with extra effort. So, I played sports growing up, always been a passion. I got a chance in college to play rugby. I absolutely loved that. And then, when I was in the Marines, obviously really active. I got into triathlon for a long time. And, on the back then of 10 to 15 years of a lot of sports, a lot of wear and tear from the Marine Corps, I had some pretty meaningful back problems. I had a shoulder injury. I had heard about CrossFit. It was totally up my alley, but I was a little nervous, to be honest. I was worried about my back injury. I had heard people talking about how CrossFit might be dangerous. So I got into it a little bit later than I, otherwise would have. But, fortunately, I had a really good friend of mine in 2014 said, look, let's go give it a shot. Let's just walk in the gym and see what the experience is like. And, I walked into, at this point, I would have said before that first workout that I was in good shape. I was running 6-7 days a week. I was lifting, doing the Globo Gym thing. And I walked into that workout and got absolutely humbled. I came in dead last in the workout. I came in dead last, I'd say, for the first month, 6 weeks. Everyone in the gym was absolutely crushing me. My buddy and I had complete opposite reactions. He was like, screw this. This is not for me. And I was
I'm done. I'm out of here.
I'm like, you complete me, CrossFit. So, from that first moment, it resonated with me. Fast forward a year, these back problems I've been dealing with for 15 years are largely gone. You know, the emphasis on mobility and core strength was life-changing for me. You know, I've talked about, CrossFit for me has given me a second lease on being an athlete. You know, I thought those days were behind me, and now I've got a level of fitness that allows me to do all sorts of things that I thought were off the list. So I got involved in 2014, been a diehard member of the community, absolutely love it. And when I got a call about the opportunity, you know, my eyes lit up. This was the dream job for me. You know, and largely when I think about, you know, on top of just the passion and enthusiasm that I brought to it, you know, CrossFit has changed my life. I've seen it change in the boxes I've trained at and the boxes I've dropped into. I've seen it have an incredible life-changing impact for hundreds of other people, and yet
I'd say millions of other people.
Yeah, firsthand for me, I saw hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
When you zoom out and think about what's happening then in the 13,000 gyms we have around the world, it's millions of people. And I thought to myself, as incredible as that is, as the impact it's had, there are 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people who are sitting on their couch thinking CrossFit's not for them.
Right.
And we all know that's not true. If you walk into any CrossFit affiliate, you're going to see young, old, fit, unfit, folks who have a history of injury, folks who are healthy, folks who are suffering from metabolic disease, all of whom their life has been changed by CrossFit with the most welcoming and inclusive community you're going to find anywhere. And so for me, that is what got me excited. That's what keeps me excited, that opportunity. Like, this can reach tens of millions of people in a way that is profoundly life-changing for them.
Fueling our bodies for peak performance is one of the most important parts of our preparation. It's also one of our most difficult choices. We live in a world full of options like energy drinks, shots, gels, and snacks. Mod Balls is the natural choice. Just a 20-gram Mod Ball packs 10 times more energy per gram than the other options, and they're safe for active kids, adults, and athletes. Macronutrients from 75 fruits, veggies, seeds, nuts, chocolate, and raw honey replace caffeine and sugar, increasing energy without creating a jittery stimulant buzz or sugar crash. Plus, Mod Balls are only 100 calories. They're individually wrapped, organic, vegan, dairy-free, soy-free, gluten-free, HFCS-free, and GMO-free. They're also $10 off your first order when you use code JED, J-E-D, at modballs.com.
Yeah, I've been curious about getting into CrossFit for a while. Like, so many people have told me I would be good at it, and I am terrible at lifting. So my initial instinct was, well, I'm not going to be good at it. But also I'd heard so many rumors about injuries, and I've had a lot of injuries, and so I've been very tentative about approaching a CrossFit gym. But I'm curious. I also feel like I could benefit from it as cross training.
That's right.
What parts of CrossFit benefit athletes? As, like, if you're performing in a sport and you're already competitive in something, how can you utilize CrossFit as a tool to get better at your sport?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really important question for us because, you know, as we think about the next year, 2 years, 5 years for CrossFit, our number one focus is exposing more people to the life-changing impact of CrossFit. And we have a lot of misperceptions that exist that limit people, whether it's concerns about injury risk, whether it's, hey, I have to get in shape before I try CrossFit. We hear that quite a bit. Again, we know these things aren't true, but we need to do a better job of showing people like you how, hey, given your goals, given your lifestyle, CrossFit can be life-changing as well. So, you know, there's a few things I'd say that are really unique to CrossFit. And again, I had the same concern and misperception. The first is we have the best coaches in the world, and we play a really important role. It's really important to us. One of our jobs at HQ is making sure that we do a great job educating coaches so that when their members walk into the box, whatever history they have, whatever limitations they have, whatever constraints they have, they've got an expert coach that is standing next to them, that is guiding them through that journey, that can help them achieve those life-changing results while being really careful and thoughtful about how they scale the movements and exercises to account for whatever history and limitations they have.
What sort of qualifications do those coaches, owners need? Like,
Yep.
What do you check for when you're determining whether someone is qualified to be a CrossFit coach or
Yep.
affiliate owner?
Absolutely. So on the coaching side, we have about a third of our team, roughly, is focused on training and educating coaches. So we have an entire system. It starts with a level 1 certification. It's a 2-day in-person course where we talk about the fundamentals of CrossFit, really the fundamentals of health and fitness, and how CrossFit helps you realize gains in all of those domains. So there's a 2-day in-person course. We then have, for coaches, the opportunity to continue their education. So L2 is next. L2 really focuses on the fundamentals of managing a class and group fitness, helping coaches helping them manage the relationship with a classroom of athletes. And then we have level 3, level 4, where it's about giving coaches exposure to the finer points of world-class coaching. And so there's a whole bunch of work we do with those kind of 4 core levels of CrossFit coaching. And then on CrossFit.com, we also have a wealth of other areas in and around coaching, everything from education around nutrition to recovery to the aerobic side of fitness, where we have some of the top experts in the world in those domains creating content for CrossFit coaches.
What kind of focus is on in that training on injury prevention, building a foundation that's going to make you balanced so that you're not prone to injury, not just as you're lifting, but in daily life, in your sport? How is CrossFit helping, or how is that training?
Absolutely. So the core foundation and principles in CrossFit are around functional movements, constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity. So that is CrossFit. And the core belief is that the best way to train for life is focusing on functional movements that you use every day. And that could be use it every day, whether you're picking your kids up, getting them ready for school, or whether you're training and playing any sport. Fundamentally, every sport is grounded in really healthy functional movements. So a lot of CrossFit starts with teaching the importance of functional movements, and for coaches, how to cue proper movement. We also talk about, when we think about the efficacy of CrossFit and really what matters, there's 3 fundamentals in terms of a great coach. There's about CrossFit is exceptional in terms of its efficacy. So how do we help you reach higher levels of fitness? In terms of efficiency, which essentially CrossFit is the fastest way to make progress and gains, and that's really grounded in the focus on intensity. And then finally, safety. So safety is the third part of the equation, and that's about the proper balance between proper form and functional movement and intensity. And what you'll see in great coaches is they're on the floor all the time, watching their athletes, cueing their athletes. If their athletes are pushing a little too hard and their form starts to degrade, you'll see those coaches intervene immediately, cue the athlete, maybe regress the movement, because first and foremost, it's about really proper, healthy movement.
What about those people that you were talking about who are like, oh, I need to get in shape before I go to CrossFit? If you have no fitness background and you're wanting to get healthier, what is that experience like for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, most CrossFit gyms around the world, most boxes will have some sort of introduction to CrossFit. Some call it an on-ramps course or a fundamental course. So that could be a week, that could be a 2-week, where you'll have a coach teaching the fundamental principles of CrossFit, the basic movements that you'll execute as part of it. From there, a new CrossFit member will enter and start a traditional CrossFit class. And one of the beauties of CrossFit, we talk about CrossFit being infinitely scalable. And what that means is any CrossFit workout can be adjusted to be performed by any athlete independent of their level of fitness or maybe mobility restrictions. So if you're doing a movement where the average athlete is doing a barbell clean, or you're doing a barbell squat, well, maybe for a new athlete, we regress that to just doing a body weight air squat. Right. The principles and fundamentals are the same, and it can be scaled to meet the athlete where they are. And I think that's one of the things that's really, really unique about CrossFit. So you can walk into a CrossFit class, and you can have a games athlete doing the exact same workout as a brand new member to the community. And I think that's a really big part of what creates this really unique connection within the community.
So you don't have to be in like a level 1 or level 6 class, or even if I'm high level in the gymnastics and low level in the lifting, I can be in one class that's for everyone, and it's gonna. That's right,
and I think what you'll see if you talk to folks, whether they're new in the community or they've been around for 10, 12 years, everybody's working on something. Even the elite athletes, they'll tell you that there are movements that are just more challenging for them. There's a woman named Annie Sakamoto, long-term CrossFit legend. We just did a piece with her where she demoed a workout where she did essentially a pike to a handstand. And Annie is about as deep an expert in CrossFit as you can get. this was a new movement that was a weakness for her. So she's been in the community, I think, 18 years.
That's a weakness for me too.
Yes, me too. There's a long list of weaknesses on my list.
Yeah.
But I think
Quick question. Pike to handstand. So is that like L hold here press, or is it like standing?
From the floor. So standing from the floor into a handstand.
Standing or sitting from the floor?
Standing. So
Okay.
I would demonstrate it, but I can't, and I'll just embarrass and or injure myself. Yeah, but it's essentially stand. I'm sure it'd be a layup for you. But it's a really good example for Annie for this piece of content. She took 25 days. It took her 25 days to teach herself this year in demoing it for a new workout for us. So again, I think that's one of the things that's really cool. CrossFit, doesn't matter what level you're at, there's always another level to challenge yourself. There's always something you're working on.
One of the biggest challenges we have in building great organizations is accurately identifying the strengths and weaknesses of our team and our teammates. Compass Workforce Solutions is a certified predictive index partner. Since 1955, the Predictive Index Behavioral Assessment has objectively provided insight into employees' workplace behaviors. This allows us as leaders to predict what drives and motivates others, helps us to be better managers, and enables more effective communication to increase performance by really understanding who's on our team and what they do best. I've incorporated Predictive Index, Compass, and Christine Ippolito's team into every one of my businesses and my performance development programs. Incorporate science-backed behavioral assessment tools like Predictive Index into your organization today and see how quickly you reach your goals. Learn more about Compass and the Predictive Index Behavioral Assessment at compasswfs.com.
So important. Yeah, that's the thing I love about competing in Ninja Warrior is that there's always a borderline impossible challenge. And that's what keeps it inspiring. I know I'm always going to be reaching, no matter how good I am, they're always going to come up with a new challenge that's going to make me better in pursuit of that.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's really similar in CrossFit.
So, about 4 months into the job, and we talk all the time in building businesses and transition into executive roles. We talk about entrepreneurs having to figure out how they're going to lead organizations. Your assessment period's over. So I think a few people...
So I'm told.
A few people have told you that. So you don't get to walk around anymore and say, I need my 90 to 120 days to figure out what's going on.
Yep.
What is your assessment now after your first 4 or 5 months? And what's your vision now leading the organization into 2023 and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are actually on this. We, in about 2 weeks, we are going to more broadly communicate our vision to the overall community. So we'll probably do that starting with the affiliate community. They play a really important role about what we're going to be focused on in the long term and then how that comes back to our goals for this year. What I'd say, as I think about reflecting on what I've learned over the last 4 to 5 months, so coming into the job, biggest priority for me was I had experienced the community as a member, but I knew there was a lot to learn. So I spent a lot of time. I've been traveling a bunch, meeting with a lot of members of the community, meeting with a ton of affiliate owners here in the U.S. as well as outside the U.S., meeting with a lot of athletes, meeting with some of our partners who play a really important role in the space to really understand where are we and then what role can and should we play at CrossFit headquarters in bringing the community together. And so what I'd say at a high level is, one, I think we have an enormous opportunity to continue to grow the number of people around the world that we touch with CrossFit. We went through, the first decade, 15 years of CrossFit, we had a lot of growth, but there's still a lot of people today, we touched on it earlier, who could benefit from CrossFit that are limited by some perception. And that is the most important role we need to play at CrossFit headquarters. We need to continue to invest in building the brands. We need to really invest in storytelling. One of the things that we've been really, really good at that was a big driver of growth historically was lifting up the everyday stories that are happening in these gyms all around the world to show people what's possible with CrossFit. We have gotten away from that a little bit over the last couple of years. We're going to make a really big push in that front. So storytelling in service of reaching new people, alleviating some of these myths that exist about CrossFit. We kicked off a campaign 2 weeks ago called The Magic of CrossFit, and it's all about telling that story. So that's priority number one for us is how do we play an important role in shaping the brand and reaching new people, fundamentally getting more people to walk in the front door of their local affiliate and give CrossFit a chance, because we know if they do that, the affiliate owner and the coach is going to take it from there, and our job is done. The second thing we're really focused on is our partnership and relationship with gym owners. So again, we've got this incredible community of men and women all around the world who have really dedicated their lives to changing other lives by opening a CrossFit gym. And one of the things that we've heard in the conversations we've had is that we can do more to strengthen that partnership and support our affiliate owners. One area we'll be investing in is giving them more tools to help them with the business side of running a gym.
Yeah.
So not to generalize, but I'd say the vast majority of our affiliate owners open a gym because they're passionate about coaching, they're passionate about changing lives. But if you're going to run a successful gym, you're going to run a successful small business as well.
Right.
And we have a really important responsibility to make sure they have the resources they need to build a great business, to make really good decisions on that side. Third area for us is really about coaches. I mentioned before, we believe we have the best coaches in our industry. We have the best coaches in the world. And these are the people who are changing lives. It's not us at HQ. It's the coaches who are waking up every day, who are investing the time with people to help them with their CrossFit journey. We are going to make it easier for our coaches to access and invest in continued education. So our CrossFit Level 1's amazing. It's incredible. I encourage you guys to do it if you haven't done it yet.
We might have to do it before next year.
You hear that? Let's get that on the record. All right, so next year we'll talk about the
said
L1.
It now.
I love it.
Thanks
for making that commitment. But there's a lot more. As great as the L1 is, as great as the L2 is, we can make it easier for coaches to engage in education. So a lot of our education today is a 1 or 2 day in-person course. It's a reasonable time and investment of money. We want to make it easier so that as a coach, you can take a few minutes every day, every week to learn a little bit more about your craft, learn a little bit more about how you can help your members on their journey. So that's kind of priority number 3 for us. And the last area, last but not least, all of that work needs to be empowered by making sure internally within CrossFit, we have a really strong and vibrant culture at CrossFit HQ. And, our team and our community over the last 3 or 4 years has been through an incredible amount of change. And change is hard. And so we're really focused on making sure we have incredible people on our team, passionate, talented. We want to make sure that we're doing a great job at the leadership level internally of putting our team in a position where they can do their life's best work. So that's really important focus for us as well.
I hear so much about the culture of CrossFit already. How can that be even better? Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that I hear is so amazing about CrossFit, but you're seeing even more room for improvement there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's one area I would point to specifically. I really view our responsibility at CrossFit headquarters. So we have the benefit of this incredible community. Look around of members, of coaches, of affiliates, of partners who love CrossFit and want CrossFit to be successful. Our job at HQ is to provide a really clear vision that makes it really easy for all of those folks to work together to make CrossFit bigger and better. And I think we can do a better job of leading. I think we can do a better job of communicating. What is our vision? Where are we going? What role are we gonna play? What role are we expecting and asking our affiliate owners and our coaches and our partners to play? Because if we're all rowing in the same direction, to use an overused cliche, if we have incredible talent and energy and enthusiasm that exists in this community, our job is to harness it so we're all moving in the same direction. Because again, I think the higher level goal that we are all working in service of is changing more lives. And if we can do that, everyone here benefits. And so we need to do a better job of communicating that vision. We need to be a better partner in reaching out to members of the community and supporting them. So that'll be a big shift that you'll see from us, is being a great partner, of listening, of communicating, of understanding how we can work with these other amazing members of the community.
When you talk about your level 1 and level 2, are those certifications or just courses?
So they are certifications. So a level 1 certified coach. They have a certain level of accreditation as well. And so there's a ton of work that we have done in and around our coaching program to invest in that.
How does that compare to another certification, like a certified personal trainer? Do people usually come into your CrossFit Level 1 already having other certifications?
Most don't. So most of our coaches come from the CrossFit community. So these are folks who have experienced CrossFit, who are passionate about it, who want to pursue that as a career. We do have some who come from those other domains who have other certifications as well. I'd say that the biggest distinction, first and foremost, the CrossFit methodology is incredibly unique. It is the foundation upon which everything here sits and exists. That is very different from the philosophical approach of a lot of these other certification programs. The other thing that's really different is the emphasis on hands-on development and coaching. So if you look at a lot of the other certification programs, most of it is reading out of a book, taking a test, answering a bunch of questions. We know that that is important, but insufficient. If you want to create a great coach, we know the interaction you have with your athletes, your ability to cue, your ability to observe, your ability to listen, your ability to manage in a group dynamic is incredibly important as well. And that's a really big focus of our education program.
So how does that class work? Because I've been taking a lot of different certifications from a textbook, answering questions online, but I've definitely been feeling like that's the piece I'm lacking. Is now I'm working with clients and practicing and realizing, this is my first time actually looking at a person doing this rather than the person in the textbook or me in the mirror. So how are your classes working that you're teaching people? They're in person then?
They're in person. So that is a big emphasis. We do have an online version for the level 1, but the vast majority of our folks who go through it go through the in-person level 1 course. So it's a 2-day course. We do it at CrossFit gyms all around the world. So I'm going to send you a link to the ones in LA.
Cool.
The best way to answer that question is actually to experience it. Exactly. And what you'll see in that is it's a mix of there's no PowerPoint slides. We've got these extraordinary members of our team. We call them our seminar staff, who are experts in their domain, who are doing a mix of teaching. We do it on a whiteboard. We walk through the fundamentals. And then there is in-person demonstration and cueing. So you get involved. You do some instruction. You'll break up into small groups. And then the coaches themselves will watch you perform the movements. So you start with, okay, let's see you perform a basic squat. Let's see you perform a push press overhead or a strict press overhead. You'll see these experts coach and cue you, and then you'll have an opportunity to watch other athletes do the same. Our level 2 is where we really get into the hands-on coaching. So you then are watching another athlete, coaching and cueing them, getting advice and coaching and feedback directly from our seminar staff.
Right, so they're watching me watch someone else.
That's exactly
and
right.
telling me if I'm cueing them incorrectly.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
We talk about vision, mission. You use those terms here. Where, in 2 sentences, where's the brand, where's CrossFit in 5 years?
So, in 5 years, CrossFit is the largest force for health and performance globally. So if I unpack, that's a big statement, period. That's a big statement.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a second. Sad state of affairs, despite the fact that our society has never been more technologically advanced, despite the fact that we've never had these levels of wealth, humanity is getting less and less healthy. Yeah. All of the trends are problematic. All of the trends are bad here in the U.S. and globally. The answer is not more drugs.
No.
It is not, sadly. And we see that all the time. We know what the answer is. The answer is fitness and nutrition. The answer is CrossFit. And there has never been, the reason CrossFit has been so revolutionary in this space is it just works better than anything else. Yeah. You need to do nothing other than walk around a venue like this. Have you seen a collection of humans who are healthier and happier than the folks you see walking around here? It's astounding. Yeah. Imagine this type of impact for millions of people in every country all around the world.
I'll add one more to your list there, and I'll say that we've never been in a place where we've been more divisive, but you take something like CrossFit and you build community.
That's right.
So you not only have the health and the fitness component, but you're creating a safe place for people to come together and actually build meaningful bonds and communities and neighborhoods and networks that will impact more and more people throughout the world.
I couldn't agree more. We are, I think we learned a lot coming out of COVID. Obviously, COVID was really, really hard. I think one of the most important things we learned is humans need interaction with other humans. Community fundamentally is critical. It's important for our mental health. The answer is not staring at a screen, working out by yourself forever. That can be a good part of your routine, but it's not sufficient. And so the bonds that are built through community, look, I guarantee you walk into a CrossFit box, nobody cares who you voted for. Nobody cares what you're, literally, that's it. They do not care. You have this instant connection. It is humanizing in a way that is important and really powerful.
Yeah, we're all here trying to get stronger and better.
That's right. And we're going to be supportive of each other. We're going to challenge each other. Like the essence of what creates this notion of shared adversity. We've all gone through that before. There's nothing that builds human connection than shared adversity and support through hard circumstances.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, even just looking in from the outside, one of the things I observe in the fitness industry in general that worries me is that so many people are focused on like, oh, I need to get thinner to look a certain way. There's an outside perception of I need to look a certain way to be okay. And to me, the solution is find goals that are not necessarily just aesthetically oriented, but give yourself goals to achieve. I want to be stronger. I want to be faster, healthier, more coordinated. And to have measurable goals that are not necessarily just about your weight. And I see a lot of that in CrossFit, and I see how motivating it is. And I know how that, for me in obstacles has changed my life. But I like that this gives an accessible way for anyone to be like, okay, I've never done a squat, but I'm going to learn how to do an air squat today. And someday I'm going to be able to lift more weight, Without
question. I have 3 little girls, and, as a parent now thinking about, my wife and I, what we want to expose them to and their life. And we talk a lot and think a lot about how do we expose them to challenges that allows them to build grit and perseverance and pride in things that are really meaningful and really matter. And, one of the things that I love about CrossFit is, that it is a path to achieve all those things. And if you look at the trends, and I'll say that as I think about my daughters, for women, for example, look at the women in our sport. They're amazing.
Phenomenal.
And at what they execute on a level playing field. It's one of the things I love about CrossFit. The prize money's the same. The events are the same. The podiums are the same. The greatest athlete in the history of our sport, Tia Toomey. It's a woman. That's an incredible thing, an incredible example, I think, for young girls, young boys, you name it. So
we had Shaylin Laurie on the other day, and absolutely impressive in all facets of her career, not only in CrossFit, but in the FBI and the Army. I mean, total making an impact across all of those organizations. Yep. You've got a lot of work to do.
Yep.
Over the next couple of months. The CrossFit Open is going to start in February, semifinals later on this year, and then you've got the CrossFit Finals in July. What are you most looking forward to over the next 6-12 months?
Reaching more people. I mean, to kind of come back to it, I think we are, over the last couple of weeks, we've launched this new campaign. The response we've seen already, and what you'll see in this campaign is we are surfacing the stories of everyday people, and we're getting people to give CrossFit a chance for the very first time. And I'm very confident a year from now we're going to look back, and the story that's told about CrossFit, the energy and enthusiasm that you can feel here, people saying without question, CrossFit's growing, CrossFit's reaching more people, CrossFit, the brand, is on an ascent, and most importantly, we are all doing it together as a community, because it's not just our job at HQ. We play an important role, but most importantly, it's this entire community working together.
As we close out, I got the real test question for you.
Uh-oh.
The Jedburghs in World War II had to do 3 things every day to be successful. They had to be able to shoot, they had to be able to move, and they had to be able to communicate. Core foundational tasks, habits, if you will. What are the 3 things that you do every day to set the conditions for success in your world?
So mine, the first thing for me starts the night before, so maybe I'm cheating a little bit. But I'm a big routines guy. I don't know where that came from. Maybe
your day doesn't have to start in the morning.
That's right. There we go.
Oh.
So actually, every night, the night before, I set an intention for the next day. And the biggest thing I do is I pack my gym bag. So I get ready to go to the gym. I like to train in the morning, so I'm up at 5:15, 5:30 every day. The best way to start the day, as we talk about, is getting to the gym. I get a chance to get a workout in. I get a chance to connect with the community there. Really, really important. The next most important thing for me is at the end of the day, where I sit down to dinner with my family. I travel a fair amount with this job, but when I'm home, we eat together. I usually, my wife carries the heaviest load in getting the kids ready for school and supporting them throughout the day. I usually cook dinner, and then we sit down as a family and we talk about the day. And we make that a really important priority.
Set intention for the day, pack the gym bag, work out first thing in the morning, and end the day by spending time with your family.
That's right.
Love all three of those.
Good recipe.
We got a couple more hours here in the event. Truly honored to have set with you today. But we do have one challenge for
All
you,
right.
and you kind of have to pick because we have something for you,
Okay.
and we want to give it to you, but you have to pick if we're going to give it to you in that ice bath over there or in the sauna. And as a Marine, I expect you to make the right choice.
Oh, jeez. All right, I will take it. I mean, look at you stack the deck. You doing it with me?
Yeah, we're both doing it with you.
Okay, let's do the ice bath.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Don.
Thank you, guys. Really
I
appreciate
brought
it.
my
We'll see you in
tear
the ice bath.
swimsuit.
Yeah.
American Jedburghs went out to form the foundation of the United States Special Forces and the Special Activities Directorate of the Central Intelligence Agency. Thanks for listening to the Jedburgh Podcast. I'm your creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Join us next week for a new episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube for full episodes, highlights, and other behind-the-scenes content. If you like what you heard, give us a like and leave a review. Follow me, Fran Racioppi, Talent War Group, and our sponsor Jersey Mike Subs on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Send your comments and inquiries to media@talentwargroup.com. As a former member of Special Forces, the Jedburgh Podcast donates a percentage of all proceeds to the Green Beret Foundation, supporting America's Special Forces and their families. Thanks for joining us on this episode. How you prepare today determines success tomorrow.